All right. Hello, all. Dr. Andrew Von Plitt here with another live stream doing some Q&A. Let's see. Today, I'm just going to be focusing on predominantly one question. I guess there's two questions in the comment the person left on the video, but we'll just focus on this comment that was left and try to keep things pretty concise today. If you are new here, I post instruction videos for Tai Chi and Qigong, and you can find those here on this channel. You can also go to andrewplitt.com and find them a little bit better organized, I would say, than you can find them on YouTube. So that's that. So welcome. And our question today is coming from a user named Jojo Louis. It was left about 3 weeks ago. Let's see. Jojo says, I want to practice Tai Chi barefoot. Is there any reason why I shouldn't? It has always bothered me very slightly that you have to go in search of the right degree of friction between shoes and the surface to be able to practice Tai Chi safely. So, and then we'll go on to more of that comment in a little bit. So the main question here basically, is there any reason why I shouldn't practice or you shouldn't practice Tai Chi barefoot? And the answer is it depends. It depends on where you're practicing, if it's safe to practice barefoot. If you're talking about a surface where it's relatively safe, all things being equal, you could either train with shoes or without shoes. Is there any reason not to use shoes? Again, it depends, unfortunately. So if you have anatomical variations in your feet, that's going to make it painful to train without shoes. That's probably one of the main things that's going to be a deciding factor if you're on a surface that's relatively safe. But if you don't, then no, there's no reason not to train barefoot. When I was first learning Tai Chi, I did not like training barefoot. It annoyed me quite a bit. I just enjoyed having a shoe, probably because most of the training that I was doing was like in training halls or outside on surfaces that weren't exactly friendly to feet. And I do tend to have rather tender feet. So to me, it was always just more comfortable to train in shoes. But recently, I have been shifting over to training barefoot because I find that it creates a better connection with the ground, better body mechanics than what I've been able to do with shoes. And so since I'm mostly just training in my living room, it's a pretty safe environment for my feet. I've been training barefoot more often now, and I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. So I think the upsides to wearing shoes is that it offers protection and offers cushion if your feet are more sensitive or if you have a reason that it would be painful to train barefoot. And I agree that it can be kind of annoying to try to find that perfect balance between the shoe friction and the surface floor that you're training on friction so that you can do your Tai Chi safely. That's something that always kind of annoyed me because the training shoes that I like to train with are fairly grippy in the beginning. And then as you train with them, they get, they kind of hit that correct balance. And by the time they hit that balance, then they start to go too far and they get like too smooth and too slippery and start to get holes and things like that. So it's like they're good for a small amount of time. I mean, they're good for the whole time, right? But they're ideal for a small amount of time. And that was always kind of frustrating. So training barefoot definitely takes care of that. So that's my response there. As far as training barefoot, make sure it's safe to do so. If you're training somewhere where you're not sure, like if you're training in the grass, you're not sure if there's going to be something in the grass that would not be friendly to your feet, like potentially needles or bees or anything like that, then I would say definitely keep your shoes on. But if you're training somewhere where it's safe, kick them off. And the nice thing about training barefoot, and I've noticed that as I've been training longer and the more that I've become aware of connection to the ground, the more I've become aware of structure of correct movement in Tai Chi, the more comfortable training barefoot becomes over time. And when I first was learning Tai Chi, I found it just painful to train barefoot. So yeah, it's possible that if you train barefoot now and it's painful, it may become more comfortable as you become more used to your connection to the ground and your body mechanics. All right, so I think I've answered that possibly more than once now, maybe a little too much. So hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to move on to the next part of your comment here. Let's see. You say, by the way, pivoting on the heel has really helped make my practice easier for bare feet. Has Chen style less pivoting on the ball or the heel? Okay, so yeah, that is one thing. If you are training barefoot, pivoting on the heel is going to be a lot easier, just because that's how it works. You have less soft contact with the ground with your foot, you have kind of a more solid contact, so that rotation is going to be easier. It's just easier that way. So yes, that's true. When you're training barefoot, pivoting on your heel is going to be easier. And as far as Chen style, having more or less pivoting on the ball of the foot or the heel of the foot, um, it's it's partially going to depend on the instructor you're learning from. Some instructors do emphasize keeping your weight over the ball of the foot. And as I've talked about in other videos, why I disagree with that, that is something that's out there and it's fairly common. And so if you're doing Chen style and that's where they want you to keep your weight, there is going to be some pivoting that's happening on the ball of the foot just because that's your connection to the ground. So if you're connected to the ground there, pivoting there makes the most sense. There's the other perspective where you want your weight distributed closer to the heel where it's kind of in line with the tibia. When your weight's distributed there, it's easy to go to the ball of the foot or the heel because you're kind of in between, but you're a little closer to the heel. So it's easier to pivot on the heel in that position. So yeah, it's going to depend on who you're learning from. So not a great answer, but unfortunately things are rarely just black and white and yes or no easy answers. So there's your answer. I hope that was helpful. Hope you enjoyed that and got something out of that. As a part of these videos, like I did last time, basically offering a way for people to support this channel if you enjoy what's happening here, but also support in a way where you get something out of it too. I am discussing different products from my online nutrition store, which is andrew.puretrim.com, if I can say it, andrew.puretrim.com. And the product I'm talking about today is called Joint T. And this is probably one of my favorite products that they carry because, especially talking about it on a Taiji focused channel, because it's all about supporting joint health. And a lot of people, when they start practicing Tai Chi, it's because they're looking for improvement in health, improvement in mobility, improvement in the joints of the body and how their joints are functioning. And so Joint Tea just supports that in a wonderful way. It's basically it's like plant-based product. So if you're someone who's opposed to using animal products, this is a great option. And it basically has a lot of sprouted plants and plant stem cell extracts, basically, to support regeneration of tissue. Another thing that's cool about it is it just has a ton of different really well known anti-inflammatory plants and plants that have excellent phytochemical properties that are supportive to proper inflammation control in the body and tissue repair and healing. So amazing product. It's one of my favorites. I've done videos about it before, like years ago. And my experience with it was basically I had done a fair amount of damage to my knees while training in China, mostly with the Shaolin training I had done, the Sanda or the kickboxing, and the Baji Chuan training that I had done. Those were particularly rough on my knees. And that combined with the insane amount of running that we did and my not necessarily good form when it comes to running, all kind of did a number on my knees. And I think if it wasn't for Tai Chi, I probably would have had very serious knee problems. Fortunately, I do not. And when I was in undergrad, I was basically starting to feel the effects of those years of training kind of catch up to me. So I was continuing to do Tai Chi in my spare time, but at the same time, it's like it was kind of just holding off the tension and pain I was feeling in my knees, especially if I was doing things like hiking or even just long walks, were all quite troublesome, which that's not really something you want to experience in your late 20s, early 30s. So around that time, Puretrim came out with this Joint Tea product. And so I, fan of most of their products. So I gave it a shot and I was very happy within a short amount of time with the changes that I noticed. Right now, I almost never use it because my joints feel good. But it was definitely a lifesaver for me. So I cannot promise it will do the same for you. As always, nothing I say here is medical advice. If you're interested in using the product, you should discuss it with your healthcare practitioner first. But if you are dealing with joint pain and you're looking for something to support that, this is an option that's available. It's something that I've used and was very happy with. As far as things to look out for with it, the only thing that I've heard from people, and I've not experienced this myself, but I've heard it can cause some stomach upset when it's taken on an empty stomach. And the downside to that is that it's on the bottle or on the jar that it comes in. It says you're supposed to take it on an empty stomach. So if you know, are concerned about the GI upset and taking on an empty stomach, if you look at the ingredients, these are foods. Like these are things that uh, are not new to the human diet. They're not new to be consumed by humans. And I think our GI tract understands how to deal with them in the context of food quite well. And because it is, you know, concentrated nutrition, that's probably why it's a bit much for the stomach. Oftentimes people experience some GI upset when they take nutrients away from food. And I think that that's kind of telling as to when you should be taking your nutrients. Not always, but most of the time. We're like we developed, you know, we came to be in this planet by getting our nutrition from foods. And so I think getting our nutrition while we're getting our food is the most sensible thing to do. So, if taking this away from food causes you GI upset, I see no reason why you shouldn't also maybe take it with food and see if that doesn't do better with your GI tract. And I would be surprised because I've used it with food, of course, and away from food because it doesn't bother my GI tract. But I would be surprised if that reduced the effectiveness of it at all, since it's basically just concentrated phytochemicals, phytonutrients. So, anyway, that's my spiel. Thank you for bearing with that. And I hope that it makes a difference for some of you if you are looking for something to support your joint health. Again, you can check it out at andrew.puretrim.com. There's a link down in this video's description where you can go read all about it and see if it's something you want to try out. If you have any questions about this product, go ahead and leave them in the comments below and I will answer those in the future. If you have any questions about Taiji in general, please leave those in the comments below. And if you have any questions about training barefoot or any comments or thoughts to add to that discussion, please leave those in the comments below and I will try to get to them in the next live stream. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your interest in Tai Chi and Qigong and your enthusiasm in these topics. I'm going to wrap this up. Oh, Andrea, I'm sorry you missed it. Welcome to the live stream. It will be posted to YouTube soon, so you can catch up on what was missed. So, thanks for tuning in. I am going to wrap this up. I wish you all the best, and I will see you in the next live stream. Take care.